Chapter 5, the chapter which was the pinnacle for many controversies, but was this chapter the turning point for Fortnite? Today I shall break down each season of Chapter 5 in terms of Battle Pass, the map, the gameplay mechanics and items, the collaborations, the lore, the end of season events, and rating each season. I will also state the problems that each of these categories had. And before the season rating, I'll just state the problems that were not applicable in these other categories. And at the end of the video, I shall also explain how Epic Games can use Chapter 5 as a precedent to make sure that Chapter 6 can be much better. Now before I start, I'd like to clarify a few things. Firstly, I'm not gonna elaborate on any of the other modes because I don't play them that much. This video is for BR specifically, so if you're looking for a review on the other modes, unfortunately I cannot deliver. Secondly, I am going to discuss my opinion on each season of the chapter, like I could say positive things about Season 2 and negative things about Season 4. Thirdly, when I'm talking about collabs, I'll specifically talk about collabs which got items in BR like Avatar, TMNT, etc. Lastly, I'm going to include remix because why not, and no further questions. Now with that out of the way, let's begin the video.
Yo, are you serious? Hey. Hey. Hey.
Season 1 introduced us to a very interesting season theme, that being underground. It felt like a mix of both spies and resistance. Battle Pass was absolute perfection. Each skin felt like they correlated to a season's theme in some way, shape, or form. For example, Hope was the tier 1 skin and she was the leader of the Underground, which was a faction that I will elaborate more on later. Another perfect example was Montague. He was the leader of the Society, which is another faction that I will elaborate more on later. The secret skin for this season was Solid Snake, and Solid Snake was a solid choice, no pun intended. Now remember what I said that every skin had a correlation to this season somehow? Well, there is one skin that stood out, Peter Griffin. Despite having no correlation to the season's theme whatsoever, he was in the Battle Pass. Also, can we please just talk about how perfect the super styles were? And I love how Montague's diamond style also got a super style, and with the glass cord, it kinda looks like Midas. The map was very diverse in a good way. Even though most of it started out as a chunk of snow, it still felt like a chef's kiss. Mwah. The graphics were amazing. Mwah. Everything was absolute perfection. And when the snow on the map melted, it revealed a luscious dark green biome, which was also absolute perfection. Now of course, with every good thing also comes a bad thing. The only part of the map I did not like was this biome here, because it looked like as if though this part of the map, but its soul sucked out of its body. Now another part I did not like about the map was that Snooty Steps, Pleasant Piazza, and Ritzy Riveri, I don't know how to pronounce them, please let me know in the comments down below. These three locations looked way too similar. The buildings and everything, the color scheme, like it was like Fortnite copy and pasted each of these locations and slightly altering them. But yeah, overall the map was absolute perfection. I just wish that these three locations got changed and this biome got a little bit more life in it, but other than that, the map's perfect. Now in terms of gameplay, there were a lot of changes that happened. So to kick off the new chapter after revisiting the old one, Fortnite decided to completely revamp the movement system. Now at first this was frustrating mostly because of the fact that the storm was running way too damn fast and I was way too damn slow, so it was really hard to catch up with the storm, so you really needed to depend on grapple blades or shockwaves. Thankfully after many complaints they decided to change it. Next big thing that Fortnite decided to change was moving while healing. Now at first I will admit this was very hard to get adjusted to, mostly because, well, I would cancel my heal. So if there was an enemy firing, I would quickly just build and I would realize that I did not heal that much. But this was a change that me and many others got used to. Now we can't forget about the train, right? Right? Our boy the train? The A train? You get it? Yeah, no, this train was absolutely useless in Chapter 5. Now, it sounded like a cool concept at first, mostly because, oh my god, it's a train. We get to go inside and battle, pew 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 pew, while moving. Oh my god, this was a game changer. That's what me and many others thought about. Well, unfortunately, it was not. It was literally just mostly outdoors, and you could not even go inside the train. Well, you could land on it, but there wasn't really much to do besides claiming the train chest, and that too, it gave such mediocre loot. And then there was the loot pool. I'll just speed run through the weapons real quick. The Striker AR, like the Scar, but smaller mag size and damage with a higher fire rate. The Nemesis AR, like the AK, but faster fire rate, larger mag size, but less damage. The Enforcer AR, like the DMR, but faster fire rate, more mag size, less damage. Red Xeon Shotgun, it's like the Titan the Cub had a baby. Hyper SMG, just your regular SMG, but more doggy. Thunderburst SMG, the burst AR but SMGified. Ranger Pistol, regular pistol except the pistol was on steroids. The Grapple Blade, a much balanced version of the AOT Mythic, quite fun to use actually, you should give it a try in creative. The Cluster Clingers, it's like the Clingers and the Explosive Poopo had a baby. Ballistic Shield, the most overpowered weapon to ever exist in Fortnite. Well, not really overpowered, you can just shoot someone's feet and they'll go die. We also got the addition of a new consumable named the Flowberry, and later the Flowberry Fizz. When applied, it gives you, well, the Flowberry, when you use the Flowberry, you get a low gravity effect plus 15 shield. The Flowberry Fizz can give you up to 100 shield and another low gravity effect, which I think lasts for about 15 seconds. And oh man, if you were to pair this with the Launchpad or Shockwaves, or both if you're managed to do so, then you would be flying across the map, like literally just flying. This season also happened to introduce a change which many, and I mean many people hated, and that was the bullet drop. Now my friend, if you don't know what the bullet drop is, let me explain to you. Let me pretend to be your professor for like 5 seconds and explain to you what bullet drop is. Now before we can explain what bullet drop is, you first need to know what hit scan is, and hit scan means that when you aim the dot at something, it will hit, whereas bullet drop means that if you aim the dot at something, it will not hit, instead it will gradually fall, meaning that you really had to line up your shots, especially with the sniper. And you know what, I was actually fine with this, because I used to play COD, Black Ops 4 and other shooter games that used bullet drop, so I was used to this. Unfortunately, however, the 9-year-olds that did play this game were not used to bullet drop, so yeah. Unfortunately, they did not like this at all, so I kind of feel bad for the developers. They took all this time just for the 9-year-olds to not like it. Now, the medallions before the nerf, they were ridiculously overpowered. Like, before the nerf, you could basically just regenerate shield all the way to 100 with only one medallion. So if you had just one medallion, you were basically at a huge advantage here. And oh man, before the nerf, if you had 5 medallions, oh my lord, like it was so bad that they had to nerf it. So now after the nerf, if you had just one medallion, well, you're not getting full shield, meaning you had to carry big pots, and on top of that, your location was still marked on the map. Another neat thing about medallions is that they were actually a vault keycard, so meaning you could not open vaults until you get the medallion and just bring it to the vault to open it. The 6 were all great though. Unfortunately, you could not mod them with your favorite mods, which in a way is good, because if you had a mythic version of an overpowered weapon already, all you had to do was just give it the right mods, and then that's it. You're shredding the entire lobby. And Nisha's Striker AR was probably the most overpowered mythic in my opinion before it got nerfed. I mean, even before it got nerfed, it was still quite overpowered. Also, I found it funny that the bosses did their little dance after you cracked their shield, and they just instantaneously regenerated. And then there were weapon mods, and you know what? I actually like this change because these were game changers. They would change a weapon's performance for better or worse. A good example is that a 2x scope on a sniper would make sense, right? Because 2x scope, no sniper glare, but you can still see well. A bad example is a 4x scope on a Striker AR. Yeah, I learned that the hard way. Please do not ever put a 4x scope on a Striker AR. Overall, these were really fun to play around with, and something that I found really hilarious is that when you mod a weapon, it literally has your name. So nobody, and I mean nobody, could steal your weapon if it had your name on it. However, there were 2 things I despised about the weapon mods. Firstly, with the pre-attached weapon mods, and what I mean by this is that when you played during Chapter 5 Season 1 onward, well, anywhere in Chapter 5, if you played anywhere in Chapter 5, you would come across a weapon on the floor that most likely had a mod, and that mod was pretty much the wrong one, usually like a drum mag on an auto-frenzy shotgun. Now the second problem is that I really wouldn't call this a problem. I would more likely call this as wasted potential, is that there were limited weapon mods. There were so much potential with weapon mods, and especially since how Fortnite is creative with their items, I was expecting, I don't know, a bullet fire where, or something like that, where if you fire a bullet at someone, they'd get burnt, or, if you were to snipe someone, they'd, get exploded in the face or something. Well, I was expecting that. Unfortunately, this never happened. So, yeah. There was the TMNT collab, and oh my goodness, the skins were absolute perfection. Like, I don't know, I don't have words for this, man. Like, it was great. All the skins looked so accurate, so damn accurate to the show, and Shredder looked very badass. Everyone, including me, thought that this was Fortnite's original take on Shredder. I mean, technically, it is Fortnite's original take on Super Shredder. The TMNT weapons were absolute perfection. They were very good for momentum. Each of them had a unique animation, and each of them also had a unique color that was corresponded to the turtles' weapons. And then we have the giant chicken. Now, I know I said I'll only talk about collabs which, had some sort of item in VR, but I have to talk about this real quick, because if Fortnite's able to put the giant chicken in Fortnite, why not put regular-sized Peter? Like, I'm just in confusion here. Like, you're telling me that you could put this, but not this. Honestly, I don't know. Maybe it has something to do with the rig or something, like, the character's, animation or something, but even then, you should be able to do this, right? I mean, we have Godzilla, his tail works, I'm just in confusion here. The Solid Snake's skins are really solid, right? I really like Solid Snake's other style, which is just an older version of him. Don't get me wrong, but the items in VR, I'm not gonna lie to you, they sucked. They were literally just reused items, but reskinned for the collaboration. I mean, the only reason why I ever used them was to get the Solid Snake skin, to do the missions and to get the skin. But other than that, when I was done with it, I did not even touch them, like, at all. Now, before we even nosedive into the lore, I'll just explain the factions that were involved in the lore real quick. There were two factions, the Society and the Underground. The Society is a faction that were led by a group of rich people, with their most notorious leader being Valeria. The Underground was a rebel group led by Hope, Valeria's little sister. With that out of the way, let's explain what happened. Hope and Jones come back from somewhere. I don't know where they went, but they come back from somewhere only to find the Underground HQ a mess. And there was a message that says, "Nana, Nana, we have your banana." Anyways, Jones gets pissed off, and him and Hope go after the Society one by one until they find Peely and fencing fields, and they wreck the place. While that's happening, this redhead ding-dong Valeria decides to have absolutely zero interest in leading Society, and she leaves, searches for Pandora's box. And why she went to search for Pandora's box, I honestly have no idea. This was never answered to begin with, alright? This was never disclosed. And the reason she even ordered the Society to kidnap Peely was to get information out of Jones, but Jones never gave that. He went, "I'm gonna destroy you guys. Bang, bang, bang." Valeria leaving was a canon event for the Society because the Society started to have infights, which gave Hope and Jones the opportunity to destroy the Society, dismantle it, and rescue the precious banana. But it did not matter because Valeria got what she wanted. She found Pandora's box, and now she broke hell. She opened it and caused all hell to break loose, including the Olympian Pantheon. Now, the lore was too droughty. I don't know the word, but man, it sucked. Like, at the beginning, it was fine up until the long content drought. And if you don't know what that was, let me explain real quick. Basically, for 7 weeks, we got no content besides the snow on the map being gone. It was so depressing to play Fortnite during that time because no content. Not just for the story though, but there was no content for VR too. Like, come on, man. And the only videos that any Fortnite lore theorist, including myself, could make were just Midas was back and the season storyline. Like, every time you would search for a lore video, all you could find was either the season storyline, Midas was back. How Midas's left ballsack will affect Chapter 5 Season 2. I made that one up, but I can't blame him though, because there were a lot of Easter eggs relating to Midas when this season first launched, so yeah. The end of season event was good. Even though it was a mini event, it felt like a massive one. Probably because the previous one was just one ginormous metaverse ad. Regardless, the hand coming out of the ground was fun to watch, and us breaking the Pandora's box felt like the vaulting event, only we were breaking a box. Now, I really don't have any problems with that event, mostly because I missed the mini events and the community events that we had. Here are a few problems that were not fitting into the categories that I mentioned earlier. Firstly was the UI. Now, I know I won't talk about the metaverse, but because of the metaverse itself, the locker and the shop UI just felt so cluttered, and the shop itself was a whole separate issue. Because you would have skins that would stay in the shop for a long time mixed with recycled skins and new skins that would not release after a month they were leaked. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Aegis Explorer and Summit Seeker EV. Secondly, the Winterfest that season was extremely mid. We got no cabin, no trailer, and all we got was this mode. I know that it's nice for Epic to try something new and all, but like, It was ridiculously annoying dealing with all the consumables in that mode, especially since it wasn't just a fully consumable mode, because apparently Epic forgot to vault the combat caches. Yeah, and you could get actual guns in that mode, which was annoying. And you know what, I actually forgot this mode existed up until I did my research for this video. Also, Santa spawned here, Fortnite Santa spawned here, and nobody, I mean nobody in their mama's, I swear to God, nobody went there. Say something about the medallions, but they were introduced this season, so I'll let them go for now. They got spared. Overall, I'd give this season a solid, no pun intended, 6 out of 10. Now we're on to season 2, and oh dear lord. Battle Pass was okay. Some skins were great though, like Zeus, who was not messing around with those grenades. Hades, which looked ridiculously badass, especially with that cloak. And I liked how they gave him a gas mask, to represent that he's, the personification of death. And Artemis, which I actually loved the galaxy theme that was going on for her. And then there were the botched skins of the Battle Pass. Oh my goodness, Aphrodite and Medusa, what has Fortnite done to you? You guys looked so majestic in the servers, and now you're in Fortnite and you looked, oh my goodness. Those two skins got the shortest end of the stick, like the tiniest end of the stick. And if you don't know what I mean, they were downgraded. Here are the server skins for those two, and now here's what we got. If you compare them, oh my goodness, Aphrodite, you got the shortest end of the stick. Now why I say Aphrodite got the shortest end of the stick was because not only did we not get the survey skin variants, but Fortnite decided to redraw the survey version of Aphrodite on her emoticon. Yeah. And the Heartbreaker style, people thought it would be the survey version, but instead it's a blue color hope and it's splashed onto her. Medusa wasn't that bad, although I wish we got this version instead. And then there's Korra. I mean, I'm happy for Avatar fans, don't get me wrong, but Korra could have been an item shop skin. If Fortnite wanted to do a collaboration in the past, they could have just got a character which would fit the season, and there are tons, such as Artreus, young Kratos, any other character that would fit the Greek mythology theme. Or what they could have done is that instead of a collab, they could have gone an original skin. And if they did go an original skin instead of Korra, this would have been the first Battle Pass in 4 years to do so. There were many, and I mean many skins that could have been the secret skin, such as Ares. Fun fact, did you know that in the teaser for Ares, he was actually meant to be part of the Battle Pass, but at the last second, Fortnite's like, nah, we'll put Korra in there. Why? Because why the hell not? Another perfect example could have been Midas. I mean, he has 2 styles. He has the reactivity on. It could have been perfect for him, Plus, he was returning that season, you know what I'm saying? So he could have been part of the Battle Pass. But, that's just what I think. Map was great this season because for the first time in Fortnite history, Fortnite introduced not 1 but 2 different biomes, which was great. However, the best biome by far was the underworld biome because you could dash a lot more. It was also very nice and eerie. The Olympian biome was alright, even though I didn't land there much. I will give it this though, the biomes and their POIs were extremely detailed. This season also introduced some Greek mythology items that were great. For example, the Thunderbolt of Zeus was overpowered. However, you got stuck in one place, which I'll admit is a huge disadvantage unless you had those dashes. People complained about this mythic because apparently they cannot shoot someone that's just stuck in the air. I don't know why it is, but it is what it is, right? There's always going to be one part of the community that will find this extremely fun, and then the other side that will complain till, they can't complain anymore. The chains were fun to play with, although I don't know why Fortnite decided to add them a couple of weeks later, despite them working just fine in Team Rumble. And the wings were great for mobility. Only problem with the wings was that the hitbox was larger. The dash, like I mentioned earlier, was a callback to the ZP dash, except it was 3 tries, which was much better than the amount of time with the ZP dash, because if someone's slow and you're chasing them, then it's gonna be very, very annoying to hunt that person down. The guns were alright this season, I'll just say them real quick. The Warforged AR was like the Striker AR but fatter. The Gatekeeper shotgun was as if attacking a bub had a baby, and when that baby was born they put him on steroids because damn, this was overpowered. Next was the Huntress DMR, which was actually pretty decent considering that DMRs were usually dog crap. Then there was the Harbinger SMG, and honestly, both the Harbinger SMG and the Hyper SMG were having the contest to see who was the middest of them all. They later added the drum gun, hand cannon, and tag air, and honestly, this tag air does not deserve a single bit of life. They massacred my boy right here. You know, I'm honestly I'm so sad that they massacred my favorite AR. Like, why, Fortnite? At least increase the damage. You could have at least done that. They later added Midas's drum gun with mods, but honestly, this thing was much better than the 24 damage drum gun that we had because it dealt 25 damage. It was overpowered for a drum gun. And yeah, I had fun, you know. I missed this thing in BR. And then, you know, we later got the hand cannon. It was alright, I guess. I mean, I really didn't use it that much. The medallions this season were much better than the previous season. And honestly, I think this season had the best medallions out of Chapter 5 because they actually felt like superpowers in comparison to Season 1. Zeus's medallion made you go fast, jump high, and remove fall damage. And you know what? This was very good, especially if you're building a Sky Base, because all you had to do was kill Zeus, get his medallion, and start building. Aegis medallion would basically work like Siphon, granting you 50 HP or shield on elimination. Horus's medallion made you deal more damage depending on the weapon. Cerberus's medallion gave you 3 dashes that will regenerate over time, and honestly this was the most overpowered one in my opinion because you could use the Thunderbolt of Zeus while dashing. You could drop the medallion and pick it back up again to regain all 3 dashes, plus the Underworld dash could be used to save yourself if you were skybasing. This medallion is very useful in many situations. Bosses felt unique this season because in order to battle them you had to summon them, and they each had a phase with henchmen and different boss music, and they were all banger boss music. Just listen to Zeus's. The mythics they dropped were great, don't get me wrong, but why do Greek gods have guns? I mean, Cerberus is understandable, he's a dog, but why Greek gods? This season really missed the opportunity with bosses in terms of what they could have dropped. I did my research on Greek mythology prior to making this video, and nowhere does it say that Ares uses it as an assault rifle. Why? I mean, they could have added a spear instead of an assault rifle and given that to Ares, that would have been fun. Or they could have tweaked with the swords in creative, make a mythic variant of them, make them usable in BR, and of course give the mythic variant to Ares. I mean, I know Haynes has a signature chain, but they could have added his pitchfork too. Now, as for the collapse, the battle pass obviously had Korra in it, and when she released, we got water bending along with the other bending. Air and water were great, fire and earth were alright, but someone tell me this. Why did Fortnite remove the items that fit the Greek mythology season for 3 weeks? Apparently, Fortnite removed these items just for the bending mythics, and when the bending mythics were gone, well, these ones specifically, they still kept the water one, the most overpowered one. Honestly, I think the Greek mythology items would have counted the bending mythics just fine. And then there was the Star Wars event, which was alright in VR. They could have added lightsabers back, don't get me wrong. I'm grateful, but the only lightsaber they added was Darth Vader's. I mean, LEGO got the nice treatment. They should have given the same treatment they gave to LEGO to BR when it comes to Star Wars, even though I'm not a Star Wars fan. So, the story begins when Valeria opened Pandora's box, causing all hell to break loose. Zeus, being hell-bent to destroy mortals, takes out the society first. Meanwhile, this magic water glass named the Oracle told us that we must prove ourselves to Zeus before it's too late. We then take out Ares and Cerberus. Midas, on the other hand, was trapped in the underworld ever since the shark ate him back in Chapter 2, Season 2, so Marigold got the gang together and tried to break Midas out, only to find out he's escaped. Soon, Jules makes gauntlets in which her dad can control his touch, and in the missions, we actually learn about his backstory. Turns out Jules died, but then Midas made some sort of great sacrifice to bring her back, and you know, their relationship has been shaky ever since. And you know, after that, Midas floods the entire island with golden lava and leaves. Shifting our attention back to the main storyline, the Looper, aka us, recruit Aphrodite and Artemis. Later, Cerberus loses his ball and blackmails us into finding it. After that, we go to Medusa. We were tasked to steal artifacts in which Zeus took from Medusa, and once that was done, we destroy Zeus's hourglass, defeating him. He then, for some reason, strikes down Pandora's box, probably hoping for the box to take control of him in a last resort effort, but that sure did fail. After all that, the Oracle warns us about the Wanderer, aka Fortnite's Herobrine. Also, I forgot to mention that Zeus was writing letters to other gods to join him. Wasn't he the king of gods? Could he command them to join him instead of writing letters? That right there was a major letdown, but hey, at least we got the best line. My ball! Oh my god. Also, someone tell me, why did Epic remove rarities? Every skin felt somewhat unique because of the rarities that they had, and Epic took that away. Epic be changing the stuff that doesn't even need change. Also, this is the season where the roadmap got leaked, and we pretty much knew the rest of Chapter 5, which was a shame because we practically knew everything that was going to happen for Chapter 5, regardless. And then, you know, there was the major downtime, which lasted about pretty much the entire day. Dear God. This season is a 5 out of 10. Midas carried this season in terms of lore.
Open. Open. Open.
That's what he said. Kidding.
The medallions are dead. Oh shit.
I'm in danger!
Yo boy, I'm just gonna say this now. I had more fun in the first week of Ranked before the nerfs than I did with the entire Absolute Doom, Myths and Mortals, and Underground combined. This is a controversial take I thought I'd say, considering that I had the most fun of Chapter 5 in this season before the nerfs. Because quite frankly, I actually enjoyed the chaos. Unlike some people that complain. Look, compared Fortnite competitive players. Anyways, yeah. The Battle Pass was actually pretty good for a season that revolved around a desert apocalypse. Magneto as a secret skin was an interesting choice, I can't lie, mostly because he revolved around metal, and well, there's a lot of metal here. Then there was your average JoJo Siwa fan paired up with the drug addict. There's nothing bad I can say about this Battle Pass, it's just peak. Even the superstars, you know what, I kinda wish I got this because I would have obtained Pookie Dawn. I would have gotten this guy. I couldn't even bother grinding, I was out of the country for summer break. Oh no. The map was absolute peak, and it looked a little bit like the Chapter 2's map, subtle foreshadowing their epic, real subtle. Anyways, I liked how Brutal Beach had the chest at the tip of the nose, which was a nice callback to the shark. Itrodrome was a nice location, and it was interesting because Jojo Siwa does not spawn here unless you spend some time causing chaos at the Nitrodrome. Red Light Rig was my to-go drop spot, mostly because I loved the Combat AR, and you know what? The Chapter 5 variant of a Combat AR was actually pretty good. Man, I miss this AR, please bring it back, Epic. I got nothing bad to say about the map except for one thing. This biome became abandoned because, like, well, you know, the only good thing about this biome besides the color was Zeus, and now that he's gone, well, you know, this biome became abandoned. The gameplay items this season were unique because we got Nitro, which was basically Fortnite's take on drugs, and if you use it, you would have a long time sprint, you'll go much faster, and you can basically break through builds by running into them. Obviously, this item was very fun, but as most good things, it had to get nerfed because the crybabies, aka competitive players, were complaining non-stop. The Nitro Fists were fun to use until they nerfed it. Then there were the car mods, which were the best addition and the most chaotic. I've had a lot of fun with these, customizing my car, and also you can finally boost with the SUV. The mods were fun until they nerfed that significantly. Then there was the laser and the Toho cannon, which were fun to use. The bosses had their own car with infinite fuel and regeneration. Yeah, the cars were overpowered this season, well, especially the box cars. And to be honest, I don't know what it felt like going against a pre-nerfed boss car because I never got myself in that situation. It was very fun terrorizing Swids until they got nerfed. The medallions, also known as Spoils of War, were very unique like the previous season. The Machinist's medallion gave you shield regeneration up to 75 shield, and it wasn't like the nerfed Society medallions where the regeneration was slow. No, it was fast regeneration, which made it easy to ditch big pots for medkits. Ringmaster Scar's medallion, oh man, gave infinite ammo, which was good for the boom bolt, especially because cars are chaos. And then there was the Drug Addict's medallion, which gave you infinite drugs, making you run fast and bash innocent players. Overall, the chaos this season was insane. I was a bit sad to see that nerfed, I'm not gonna lie. Kinda wish they made it separate game modes where all the chaotic stuff was in regular battle royale and those stuff was removed in ranked. The new weapons were nice, well, the boom bolt or sniper to be specific, because these weapons have been in the game, some or most of them being retweaked to fit the mods. Collaborations was great. Magneto being the secret skin was a good choice considering the last time we had a Marvel skin in the Battle Pass was Chapter 3 Season 4 with that being Gwen. Magneto power was overpowered without a shadow of a doubt. Tri-beam laser rifle was alright, kinda felt like a reskin of the E11 blaster rifle, but hey, at least it was hit scan. I'm not gonna really talk about the Pirates of the Caribbean collab and anything after that because I wasn't around to play that because, you know, I was out the country. And now let's dive into the story. The drug addict gets lured here by the box, brings his wasteland here and goes, Booga booga, I will destroy this island with my shot. First, I must get my engineer, build the pipeline. Hope and Joe, seeing this wasteland just spawned, decides to try to find the drug addict's plan, so they send the Looper to do so. Hope contacts Looper and says, hey Looper, the box is still here, please steal the drug addict's Pandora gem. While that's happening, there have been sightings of Fortnite's Herobrine, aka the Wanderer. Jones finds out that Hope is trying to get to Pandora's box and decides to tell Hope one of the most hardest quotes in Fortnite history.
I have direct experience with this sort of thing. When I got lost in the 0 point, I got all the way lost, so just leave it alone. Power like that can't be controlled. Best case, it destroys you. Best case.
And worst case.
She ignores that and goes for the gems anyway. She gets the remaining 3 gems from Peabody, Jojo, and Drug Addict. Every time she got a gem, she got a stronger and stronger headache. Turns out it was the Oracle attempting to get in contact. However, it was too late. The pipeline has been complete, and what seems to be the end of the island was actually the end of the Drug Addict. Wanderer, who was actually Dr. Doom, F in the chat, who those that thought it was an original Fortnite character like Geno, destroyed the Drug Addict's pipeline and stole all the powers of the box. Rest in peace, Megalodon. You was a real legend. You was the only Fortnite villain that was at one of the only Fortnite villains in Chapter 5 that was actually enjoyable. On God, bro, you were the GOAT. Rest in peace. Anyways, after that saga, the Oracle tells Hope that she is the chosen one and that she will lead us to defeat Doom, which leads us to the next season. By the way, the end of season event was just a pipeline exploding, which is alright, I guess. Overall, this season was great. Even with the nerfs and stuff, we still got a decent amount of lore, and Hope and Jones got voice lines for the first time in Chapter 5. This season was a 7 out of 10 for me.
I will set this place to order.
He not beating Goku! He not beating Goku! He not beat nobody could beat.
We are now approaching Absolute Doom, aka the second Marvel season. Just gonna say right now, Nexus War was way better, and I'll explain why later. But first, the season of Doom, we got an all Marvel Battle Pass, and I'll say this, the skins in this Battle Pass were much better in comparison to Nexus War, although I never got the idea of Doom being the secret skin, because why? He would have looked so cool with the super styles. Speaking of super styles, they look amazing, especially this blue one. The map introduced this biome, which felt like a nice refresh, because for the entirety of Chapter 5, the grass looks like it got the life sucked out of it, so it was nice. Pleasant Piazza was replaced with the raft, Lavish Lair was replaced with a village, and Doom pretty much took this part of the map and made it into his castle. We got introduced to some, well, a lot of new items, especially this set. Now personally, I had never, and I mean I never had any problem going against the jetpack, although people did complain about it. The auto turret was just annoying to go against, especially if it was paired with the jetpack. The shield was great for blocking hits, although I never really used the shield. The claws were great for mobility, and I love how you can get infinite stamina for a short time whenever you activate the ability. And I'll say it's a major glow up from the previous Black Panther Mythic, because the previous Black Panther Mythic was a bit garbage if I'm gonna be honest with you. The dual SMGs were something, weren't they? I miss my babies. The Sovereign shotgun felt like as if Attack the Pop had a baby again. The Striker Burst AR being moddable was great because I finally got to mod one of my favorite ARs in all of its glory. Monarch Pistol tried to be the Mammoth Pistol but failed. The Stark Industries rifle came back, but Bullet Drop applied. Did pick this one because Bullet Drop made the gun a bit unusable. And as for the mythics, oh dear lord. The War Machine's Arsenal. Yeah, it's one of those items in which if you had it, great. If you didn't, well, hell, I'm done for. Especially paired with the jetpack and auto turret. Really wish that the entire War Machine set was restricted to only one War Machine, and that too, they should have made him a boss. Yeah, now that I think about it, I can see why people really hated the jetpack. Like, damn. The Iron Man repulsors made a return, but they were a little bit retweaked, and honestly it was one of those items which if you had it, great, if not, well, crap. Not to mention they were everywhere. It wasn't like the last Marvel season where it was only restricted to one Iron Man boss. Oh no. It was everywhere. I mean, everyone had it. Little Timmy had it, your mom had it. It had aimbot and a powerful unit beam. You know what? At least they had a cooldown. That's what I'm thankful for. But really should have restricted it to only one. Gwenpool had her duties eventually, but someone tell me why Epic said that it was gonna be released in seasons launched in the Absolute Doom blog post, but when we all dropped onto the map, they were nowhere to be found. I think this might have been a miscommunication error on Epic's side. Dr. Doom had his girl gauntlets with him and his bomb, and pretty much like the Iron Mans, they had a cooldown. For some reason, he has a pistol. I don't know if this was a comic reference, but if you all read the comics, please let me know if Dr. Doom carries a Glock 19 around. His medallion was basically a copy and paste of Hades' medallion, and yeah, I mean, it's useful, but I kind of wish they did something unique with his medallion. Emma Frost, for some reason, drops an AR? Her medallion lets you mark nearby enemies, which is basically a copy and paste of the NPC service, which, you know, I think Artemis NPC would be able to do that with, like, marking the entire area for enemies and chests and stuff. Mysterio had a freaking shotgun.
You can't trick me anymore.
Actually, Spider-Man, it is an illusion this time. This is a real shotgun. I just fucking shoot people now.
Mysterio's medallion would let you go invisible while crouching, which in some scenarios is actually really useful. You know, I'm just gonna say this right here. The medallions this season were very lazy, apart from Mysterio's medallion. Doom's medallion is a copy and paste of Hades', and Emma Frost's medallion is just the NPC marker, except it's quite nerfed. Also, can someone tell me why 2 of the 3 bosses only have guns? I'm sorry, what? Just because the bosses have medallions doesn't mean they can't have special abilities. For Emma Frost, we could have had an ability or a mythic that would turn us into diamond and we take less damage. Heck, why wasn't that her medallion? Same with Mysterio, his medallion should have allowed us to create multiple versions of ourselves similar to decoys. Heck, that could have been his mythic, Mysterio's decoys with no cooldown whatsoever, and it's infinite. Now I would crap on Dr. Doom having a gun, but he has his gauntlet so he's spared. We later got the Isle of Doom, which was basically a copy of paste of the Thanos mode except in BR. Now it also spawned pretty late in the game. Now don't get me wrong, it was fun playing as Doom, but again it's one of those items that if it's in your hands, great, if not then you're screwed. I like the idea of the Isle of Doom, but I think it could have been implemented a bit better, and here's what I mean. They could have made it a separate game mode similar to the Thanos one, except, you know, it's Doom and it doesn't spawn pretty late in the game. That way, the island is basically guaranteed to spawn. Collabs. Even though, well, it's mostly Marvel, we did get a game mode called Day of Doom, and it's a copy and paste of the Thanos game mode, which is a shame. Also, why do the minions have guns? Like, the whole point of a new game mode is to be unique, and we're just using guns. The hero side ain't great either, because we get guns plus a random Marvel mythic, and there's only a total of 4 different loadouts. To add on, not all the mythics made it from BR to the game. Like, for example, Gwenpool's dualies. Where were they when this game mode dropped? I'll admit it was fun being Doom and I did have fun in the game mode, but it was just a copy and paste of Thanos' game mode. Also, a fun fact, they added every old Marvel mythics from Chapter 2 Season 4, but they never added them into BR or Day of Doom. Also, what happened to the Wolverine's claws? In case you missed it, the claws were updated all the way back in Season OG, so I don't know why the claws didn't make a comeback. Fortnite Mirrors also dropped this season and it was perfect. The only collabs that were in the game besides Marvel's was in Fortnite Mirrors with Saw and Leatherface, and honestly they were fun. I liked how unique the chainsaw felt, and I loved the Boom Billy item and the new Saw mechanic, in which if you did not eliminate a specific player on time, you'd die, and if you did, you'd get some loot. Also, I find it funny that Reckless Railways was replaced with Freaky Fields, and trust me, things did really get freaky there. Before I dive into the lore of this season, can we just talk how brutal Fortnite's Doom is? I mean, bro destroyed all the Avengers but Stark and Rogers, traps Mr. Fantastic in a ball for God knows how long, turned the thing into his throne, killed Sue and displayed her body, killed Strange, Thanos, Moon Knight and many other heroes and villains. Bro was not messing around. With all that aside, let's dive into the lore. We find out that Doom isn't here, but rather it's his bot, Doombot. Doom is somewhere building a new armor to withstand the box because apparently the box broke his current armor, so it gives Hope Jones and the Marvel characters time to plan. The Oracle then tells us of a feline ally, a victory hidden in defeat. With all that aside, Hope starts to freak out. Shuri comes up with a plan to rift away Doombot, but she needs parts, and once we set up the beacons, Shuri activates them only for them to fail. Dr. Doom then decides to drop the hardest quote of all time.
Whisper your name in fear. You may be prophecy, but I am judgment.
Turns out the reason why the beacons had failed was because of Emma and Mysterio, so we tried to stop them, starting with Mysterio. Mysterio had casted illusions all over the island, claiming that Doom's society was the perfect society, and that includes the Wastelanders, so we destroy the illusions and then we destroy him. While that's happening, Shuri attempts to create replacements for the Rift Recalibrators. Tony Stark shows up explaining that he survived the massacre of Doom and decides to aid the fight by providing us with his Stark tech, so we test it out and go for Emma. Hope contacts us via a Nokia phone to prevent Emma from interfering. With the help of the Looper and Tony Stark, we place power dampeners to nullify her power, and then us, the Looper, go and defeat her. Then after that, Jones warns Hope that Doom is on the horizon. Hope here has a mental breakdown. Then there's the Absolute Doom event in which Jones was about to get cooked, but Hope swoops in and saves him, but her arm got burnt. Doom was defeated within 15 minutes. And that's about it. Unfortunately, the lore ended 3 weeks before the season actually ended. As for the Absolute Doom event, it's like a community event. It was similar to Pandora's Box, except Doom died within less than an hour. That's about it. And I'm not even gonna talk about the Prelude event because it's literally a live stream of a concert in New York. There are so many missed opportunities with this season and some mistakes in terms of the lore. They had it going with the storyline, but the main villain of the season got defeated 3 weeks before the end of the season. Many people, including me, assumed that he would return with the Fortnite update, now corrupted with the powers of Pandora's box, because in the Absolute Doom event, you can see it leaving his body. And someone like Midas would be the reason we had to go back in time. I mean, they even had the golden cause in the Doomstat teaser. There were so many missed opportunities with this season and that disappoints me, but you know what, I've had my fair share of fun. Absolute Doom is a 6.5 out of 10.
Fortnite, what the fuck did you do to my fucking agency? What the fuck is a dog pound? Why the fuck is Snoop Dogg here? Why is this fucking idiot throwing stink bombs at me? This is not fucking OG. What the hell is Snoop Dogg's drum gun? Bitch, this is my fucking drum gun, not Snoop Dogg's. Who are all these stupid fucking dogs? What the fuck, Fortnite? Why did you ruin my agency? Fuck you, Fortnite. Fuck you, Epic Games. And fuck you, Snoop Dogg. Fortnite.
Now, on to Remix. Remix had a solid battle pass, but they do have a missed opportunity. One ball should have been customizable. Had he been customizable, the battle pass would have been perfect. At first I was skeptical about Meowdis, but over time he slowly grew on me. Also, it was the season where kicks were introduced. Yeah, the shoes that everyone loves to wear. This was the season it was introduced. The map was a copy and paste of Chapter 2 Season 2 with some changes. Snoop took over the agency, Ice Spice took over the shark, and Eminem took over the grotto. Their mythics had some sort of uniqueness to them. Ice Spice's rifle gave you a spice effect upon shooting, Snoop Dogg's drum gun is the OG Midas' drum gun but reskinned, and Eminem's, well, RG's minigun spat out rap god lyrics. The Boogie Bomb was reskinned to play that Drop It Like It's Hot song by Snoop Dogg, and the dance was different too. The OG cars were back along with the Chapter 5 ones, and there is also a new car called the Snoop Dogg's Cadillac. I really don't remember, but it was Snoop's Cadillac. Also, a funny thing is, both the Chapter 5 model of the car and the Snoop's Cadillac could jump, and it was so broken to an extent. Like, here, have a look.
What the heck? What? All I did, settings, keybinds, driver brake. Bind that to your scroll wheel. Scroll as fast as you can. What? Wait, so I can just keep doing that? I just not. Whoa, I'm playing Rocket League.
The only collabs that really affected BR was Snoop, Eminem, and Ice, with each of them having their own mythic. There wasn't any lore besides Hope trying to contact her sister and that Hope can see the future through her art. Valeria is a horrible sister. Valeria, please be better. Also, at the Mom Spaghetti, there is a spray of Dr. Sloan, which indicates that she might be returning at some point in the future. The end of season event reminded me how much I missed concerts. Remix was fun. I'll give it an 8 out of 10. Now, the big question. How can Chapter 6 be better than Chapter 5? Here are some of my ideas. Firstly, split the game modes. I feel like both sides would benefit if Ranked had no chaos, but regular BR had chaos, because if I learned one thing from Ranked, it's that the casuals love chaos and the competitive players hate it. So by splitting the game modes, the Ranked players or the competitive players can enjoy cranking 90s while the casuals can have fun with their chaos. Secondly, please no more lore droughts, because basically through this entire chapter except for season 3 there were certain points in the season where the lore was droughty, and even though we aren't going through that right now, I feel like at some point it will happen. Thirdly, try to introduce a lot of items that fit the season's theme. I think season 2 and 4 had that going, but it felt limited. Epic Games, if you're watching this video, please do not vault the items that fit the season's theme, and if you have the items that fit the season's theme in the files, you should probably go for it. Fourthly, try to bring back old characters. I know they brought back Midas, the Fox Clan, the River Guard, and now with the Secret Dialogue, probably Montague, you name it, but also try to bring back characters with wasted potential like Kato Thorn. Sloan could also return because Hope can see the future through her art, and she saw Sloan in the Mom Spaghetti, so you know, please also bring her back. Fifthly, no more yearly chapters. It makes me depressed because it hasn't even been that long since we had the map, and when we're getting adjusted to the map, it just leaves. Lastly, try not to bring back any OG season. Now don't get me wrong, I love replaying the past, but we already have a game mode with that. Plus, given how they've completely revamped Chapter 2 Remix in a way, I feel like 2 OG seasons should be enough for now. That's all I got in this video. I just wanted to share my review on Chapter 5 and how much I enjoyed it. And you know what, this was one of my largest one of the most hardest videos I've ever had to make. So please, if you can, like and subscribe. And yeah, without further ado, peace!